Hello and welcome to Irish Science Fiction. My name is Brian Sexton and you are about to listen to, if you hang round, Chapter 38 of Nancy Goodaim, the Space Ranger. So, a hen, it's a daw, it's a tree, and away we go. Now, just in case you can't remember, Nancy, the Witch of Mullinavore, and Haban and Chernobyl Unterwackel travelled via an interspatial portal to Shan Laba Feisteen Upper. The plan for Nancy was to save European Space Agency mission specialist Bart McMurrow from an unspeakable fate. The plan for the witch was to walk down the dinner, while Haban and Chernobyl Unterwackel had no plan to speak of, thanks to the hallucinogenic and vomit-inspiring effects of halubelberries, which they had both recently eaten. This chapter ends with Nancy, Bart, Haban and Chernobyl making it safely back to the grounds of the Abyddine Monastery, and it begins with the all-powerful Fenogheocht saying, "Don't tell me you're still sore about the Pudwigeon witch," and the Witch of Mullinavore replying with, "Ha!" The Fenogheocht didn't respond to the Witch of Mullinavore's "ha" with words, but instead the ground rumbled. Nancy, Bart, Haban, Chernobyl and the witch felt the rocky surface under their feet shake. The dirt-coloured clouds above them continued to swirl in a chaotic pattern. Several small, angry-looking humanoid heads appeared through the mist. "Gabalodians!" announced Bart knowingly. The frowning red-faced creatures were just tall enough for their heads to be above the waist-high mist. They seemed panicked and were running in chaotic loops. Nancy looked around. The only other sign of life were several black rocky mounds with skeletal trees rising from the mist, which stretched as far as she could see. "What is this place?" she asked. "Shan Laba Feisteen Uchter," muttered the witch. "I think it's purgatory," noted Bart. "Or a sort of Jupiterian purgatory," he added. "Well, I reckon it's purgatory for me. It's just a regular Thursday evening for the Fenogheocht." Haban made to speak, but could only manage the word "flacht" before kneeling down in the mist and vomiting loudly. This inspired Chernobyl to do likewise. "What's up with your two friends?" asked Bart. "They ate halubelberries," replied Nancy. "Pair of idiots," noted Bart. "They look old enough to have known better. At least you have an excuse for being here. This place is a kip." "Where did you meet Owen and Francie? Was Commander Bishop with them?" "Catty Bishop had more sense than to come here. I don't know where I met them. It was a couple of chapters ago." "Did you know they have a bar in San Laika too? They kept that quiet. I wouldn't mind, but none of the three can hold their drink. You want to hear the pure guff that came out of Owen and Francie after a few pints." "Tell me exactly what happened to Owen and Francie." "They got mushed into bits under the mist, Nancy. Here, chowed up by the Fenogheocht." "And you definitely saw it happen?" asked Nancy. "More or less. I saw a few blood-splattered body parts fly through the air and a crunching sound. I reckon that was the Fenogheocht having his tea. So you could say I saw it happen. Hey, it serves them both right for coming here." "But you came here too." "So did you, Nancy. And anyway, I was just following them. They told me we were headed for the best bar on Jupiter, which turned out to be bullshit. So good enough for them." Nancy didn't comment. She didn't get a chance. The ground shook violently, and three of the small, angry, red-faced humanoids were catapulted into the air by an unseen force just in front of her. A large, bony arm shot up through the mist, bent sideways, and sliced through one of the creatures mid-air. The two halves and the two remaining intact humanoids fell back into the mist, and a large rumbling sound followed. "Ha!" said the witch for a second time. "You're just showing off, Fenogheocht. And whatever about the two extraterrestrials and the pair of Bondrosians, you don't impress me. In fact, it's pathetic you feel the need to show off. It shows what a useless and fragile thing you are, Fenogheocht. And that's why nobody wants to know you." The ground shook underneath Nancy, Bart, Chernobyl, Haban and the witch. "Ha! I knew your ha was a fake ha, witch. You are sore about the Pudwigeon. And like I said at the end of chapter 36, nobody doesn't want to know me, because me and the ugly extraterrestrial are best buddies. So there, stick that up your eternally whinging about the stupid Pudwigeon." "How dare you say I had a fake ha? Yeah, excuse for a thing. I have a real ha, because nobody wants to know you, and the only reason that ugly extraterrestrial is talking to you is because he's a dope. So now for you, ha!" cackled the witch. "I notice you didn't mention the Pudwigeon witch. Ha! You're only saying that because you know what really happened, and you just can't bring yourself to blame the Pudwigeon you and your stupid boyfriend Dobleron. The pair of ye are a good match." "Joke's on you, Fenogheocht, because he's dead." "Well, he has something in common with the Pudwigeon, so..." Stop saying that name! Now you see, extraterrestrials and puking Bondrosnians, rumbled the Fenonceacht. Now the real witch comes out. No more fake hass now, huh? Habon and Chernobyl staggered to their feet and looked at Nancy. What's happening? Asked Chernobyl. You're hallucinating, you big dope, replied Habon. You ate a feed of hallumelberries. Remember? I know that, but what am I hallucinating? What's all this about a pudwidgeon? Nancy, do you know? Are you deaf as well as stupid, Chernobyl? Sputtered Habon. How is Nancy supposed to know what you are hallucinating? I don't know what's happening, said Nancy. Bart, she asked, what are they talking about? I don't know, said Bart. But it looked like the Fenonceacht did the witch a bad turn, and she's pretending not to have been upset by it. Well, either that or just some Jupiterian bollocks. In any case, I'd say the chances of there being a bar around here are pretty low. Typical Owen and Francie. You didn't want to hear a word out of them two. Ha! Cackled the witch for a third time. The ground rumbled, then stopped, then rumbled again. I think the Fenonceacht is laughing at your friend, Nancy, noted Bart. He better not be, cackled the witch. Or what? Said the Fenonceacht. Don't forget you are in my unmotorious realm now, witch. Look, Fenonceacht, said the witch, I don't care about your dump of a place. I'm just back from a holiday in Torn and Galump, which has unmatched views across the sea of uncertainty and all the fish you can eat. And it only rained for one of the days. So there, I only came here to walk down the dinner, and because Nancy here wanted to find her friend, and I was in a good mood. Well, before I met you, I'm starting to get indigestion now. You sure you're not here because of the pudwidgeon? I've never forgotten, you know, and I bet you haven't either, witch, rumbled the Fenonceacht. I had until you mentioned it. So am I hallucinating or not? Asked Chernobyl. For obbly-gong's sake, Chernobyl, yes, you are, snapped Habon. But how can you be sure? Sputtered Chernobyl. Because you asked me, snapped Habon, who then bent over and vomited. We both know that's a lie, witch. I bet you thought about the pudwidgeon every day since we last met, rumbled the Fenonceacht. Ha! Snapped the witch. Only because what you did was wrong. Wrong to stop a thing that went splang in front of everyone? Repeatedly? So what? Lots of things go splang, Fenonceacht, replied the witch. Not on Jupiter, they don't. Yes, they do. What about marmsticles? Asked the witch. Marmsticles don't count. Anyway, you know what I mean, witch. It was cheeky of the pudwidgeon to be here from where it was from. It should have been from Jupiter. We both know that doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't be a pudwidgeon if it did. And stop using its name. I'm finding it disrespectful, snapped the witch. Pudwidgeon, 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 rumbled the Fenonceacht. I said stop using its name, cackled the witch. Oh, now I'm getting a reaction. See, Bart. See, other extraterrestrial. See, pair of scuzzy Bondrosnians. Now you see the real witch coming out. Here, witch, listen to this. Pudwidgeon, rumbled the Fenonceacht. Stop! Cackled the witch. She raised her hands above her head with her palms facing towards the swirling clouds above. Sparks of blue light shot from her hands to somewhere in the clouds. Oh, said the Fenonceacht, before adding, Pudwidgeon. What are you two talking about, Fenonceacht? Asked Bart. The ground shook. Pudwidgeon, repeated the Fenonceacht. A steady stream of light was now shooting from the witch's upraised hands towards the sky. The ground began to shake even more violently. Sorry, witch, would it be okay to head back now? Asked Nancy. Of course, said the witch. You lot go on ahead. I need to stay here and have a chat with the Fenonceacht. The witch lowered her right arm and then stretched it out level with her shoulder. She then rotated the arm clockwise and a freestanding wooden door set in a frame appeared in the mist to the right of Bart, Nancy and the bowed over puking Habon and Chernobyl. She then extended her finger. Close the door after ye. I don't want any of the Babylonians making it back to Jupiter. They're irritating, grumpy little things at the best of times. And the rule of Sosman Borkstapel is not the best of times, snapped the witch. Come on, Bart, said Nancy. She walked over and opened the door. A short, multicoloured corridor suddenly appeared on the other side of the frame of the open door. Hang on, said Bart. I want to find out what a pudwidgeon is. The ground shook. Habon stood up, grabbed Chernobyl by the shoulder and shoved him towards the open door. Come on, Chernobyl, you can hallucinate and puke back on Jupiter, she said. How will I know if it's Jupiter I'm hallucinating? How will you know if it's not? Come on, sputtered Habon, and the pair shuffled past Nancy and into the coloured corridor. Several of the small humanoids darted in after them. "Shut that door!" cackled the witch. The ground began to vibrate wildly. Nancy turned to Bart. The mist was now swirling up to eye level. "Move," she said, "before it's too late." The ground continued to shake. "Shut that door before I shut it for ye," snapped the witch. "Typical," rumbled the Fenonkiacht. "You see what I had to put up with, Bart," it added. Nancy pushed Bart in through the door and slammed it shut. Bart, Nancy, Habon and Chernobyl found themselves facing an abbot who was sitting on a wooden bench outside a ruined old shed in the middle of a forest clearing at dusk. "Did you have a nice walk?" he asked. And that was it. For the start of the night of the end of the 6th day of the first human expedition to another planet. A supernatural score being settled. European Space Agency Mission Specialist Nancy Goodaim McGinley, European Space Agency Mission Specialist Bart McMorrow, 2 hallucinating elderly Bundosnians, an abbot, an underground army of sorts, and the last remaining copy of the Book of Bongerlon adrift on the Sea of Uncertainty on Jupiter. Okay, thanks very much if you listened to that. There'll be another episode in 2 weeks, and chat to you then.